Welcome to the 8 keys. We're going to study key number 3 this time, which is write your goals. In our last session, we talked about writing your mission statement, and I challenged you to write a mission statement. What we're going to do now is take that core belief statement that you've created and expand it into an action plan. You notice that the term that I gave you for life, for your mission statement, was your whole life. Now we're going to create a plan that you break down into different segments in time. It can be weeks or months or years, but we're now going to start working with a plan, writing goals that are time-centered, that focus on time, because this will give you the challenge to get it accomplished. And of course, after we do that, the next segment we're going to go into is we're going to talk about building relationships. Writing goals is a very, very important subject. I've studied it for years, I've taught it many times, and I enjoy this concept. Because the power of goal setting is a unique power in your life. It's very useful. It's something that I practice every single day of my life. I find myself sitting down, evaluating what I'm going to accomplish that day, setting a goal for it, and then going out and achieving it. I remember setting a goal with Mark Victor Hansen and James Skinner that we would write 100 ebooks in 100 days. Well, what we finished doing was we wrote 101 ebooks in 97 days, and what a wonderful experience that was to work on a team to do that type of thing. Goals can be very exciting, they can be fun, they can be very enjoyable, and I want to really get into the depth of goals with you today because I believe this will help you on your journey towards wealth and happiness. In this section, we're going to talk about how to write effective goals. I'm going to talk about the specific things you need to do to make a really effective goal. I'm going to talk with you about creating a life plan, using goals to create a whole plan for your life. I hope that's not intimidating to you. I'm not trying to say you can plan it perfectly, but at least you can map it out. You can get some general direction of where you're going. We want to also talk about building possible to-do lists. If you get the larger goals done, what possibly are some of the other things that you want to achieve in life? We want to talk about how to set your personal compass and map, how to use the metaphor of a compass and map of how to achieve those goals in your life. I also want to talk to you about the power of specialization and how that can help you build value and help you build your wealth and happiness in life. We want to talk about ways to crystallize your life plan so that your life plan is very, very crystallized and clear in your mind, so it's something that your mind and your body and your friends and the people around you can help you accomplish. We want to talk about how to magnetize the pointer of your compass. We want to talk about how to make this compass really work in your life and how to achieve what you're going to do in life. We want to talk about how to stay focused by using a tool. We're going to talk about different tools you can use to stay focused in your life. We want to go through the process of systematic planning and how you do that on a monthly, on a weekly, on a daily, even an annual basis. We want to talk about the power of focus, how the power of focus is going to help you accomplish that which is truly important to you. We want to talk about energy creation, the power of energy, the importance of energy and how this will sustain you as you go through your work. We want to talk about 4 focus habits, the habits of being highly focused in your life. And we want to talk about a concept that says riches follow contribution. We have a full agenda for this session. I hope you're ready because we're going to dive in and really enjoy making some specific plans, because I believe when you do that, it's going to dramatically increase your ability to achieve the goals that you have in life. The very first thing we want to talk about is how to write effective goals. The answer to the first step in writing effective goals is to do that. Write them. Don't carry goals around just in your mind. Your mind has a way of rationalizing away things when you don't accomplish them. When you write something down, you commit yourself to do it. So what we want to do is to write the goal, to make sure it's clear, that it's visible, that you can see it. Also, when you write a goal, it's easy to communicate it with other people and becomes useful to you that way. Personalize your goal, because when you make a goal unique to you and it's something that's you, then you're going to do it because it's something you want to do versus somebody else wants to do. You don't want to do a goal just because someone else gives it to you. You want to see your relationship to why they want you to do it. Personalize it, write it in a way that's unique to you. The next thing we want to do is we want to write the goal in a positive language. Now, positive language is something like this. I will do it, I will accomplish it, I will get it done by, versus I dream of, I wish that, I hope for. So you never start off a goal, I hope to accomplish this by the year end. You write it in positive language. I will accomplish this goal by the end of the year. So you use a statement as if it is a fact, as if it's already done. Set a deadline with a goal. Be sure you associate it with a number. Know when you're going to have it accomplished. Know when you're going to achieve it. It's really important for you to see and understand that the goal will be accomplished in a time frame. When you do this, your mind, your body, the resources around you, it seems like the whole universe will come together to help you get it accomplished. With no time frame, it seems that you'll meander, you'll get lost, and it doesn't really turn into a meaningful goal. Include in your goals supportive values. Now, supportive values are, if you're going to set a goal to give away a certain amount of your income, let's say you're going to give away to charity 10% of your income, state why you're going to do that. Your value is in your life that you believe in contributing and serving other people, and say, I'm going to contribute 10% of my income because I believe in contributing and supporting the lives of other people, or good causes, or whatever it may be. Inculcate inside of your goal as you write it those things that will help support your goal, and it will help it come into reality, will become true for you, if you would. So the next thing you want to do is make a goal visual. I really enjoy when I make goals of things I want to have. For example, if I want to buy a new fly rod or fly reel, I like to see a picture of it and envision it. Sometimes I even like to clip it out and paste it somewhere where I can see it. Because when I visualize the goal, that helps me to want to achieve it. If I visualize a characteristic, I want to visualize myself speaking, if I want to become a better speaker. If I want to achieve something, I want to see that achievement happening, receiving the award for doing it. I want to visualize that clearly in my mind because I want to start to visualize the next thing that's important for the goal, which is to see the benefit of achieving the goal. Look at your motive. Why do you want the goal? What's useful for it? What is the motive? Why am I doing that? That's a key question to ask. Why do I want to be number one in my company? Is that important because I just want the glory, or is that important because I want to know that I can become the very best at what I'm doing? So ask yourself these questions. Why am I doing it? Learn of the benefit it's going to create for you, and then go out and do it. The next item is something that I argue with people a great deal because they ask me a question. They say, Royce, what type of goal should I create? Should I create a goal that I have to really reach for to achieve? In fact, it feels almost impossible to achieve. Is that a good goal? Or do I make something that I know I can do? And this is what I answer to them. I say, make the goal believable that you can achieve it. It needs to be far enough to push your reach, but it's something that you know or have a sense of believability that you can achieve it. Know means maybe you've done it before. Believable means it's going to push you past knowing into doing something you're not quite certain, but you believe you can do it. And it pushes you to go out of your comfort zone. It's good to push you because that's when you get growth. That's when you feel the excitement of growing. And that's when the goal becomes really exciting to you. And the last thing we want to do to write effective goals is we want you to share your goal. When you share, you commit yourself to someone else to accomplish it. That's very powerful. When you don't share, it's private, even if it's written to yourself, and it's sometimes easier to break a commitment to yourself than to someone else. I don't know about you, but if I commit to someone else, boy, I really have to do it. When I set an appointment with someone, that's like a promise, that's my word, that's my bond. I hate to be late. I want to accomplish that appointment, and that's a commitment to me. That's the same thing with a goal. When I set a commitment, share it with someone else, I want to make absolutely sure that I accomplish it. So what I'd like you to do now is open up your workbook and go to the practice section, go to number 1. And what I want you to do is I want you to select a goal, just any goal that you have in the future, something that you haven't accomplished, something that you don't regularly do. I want you to write that goal down. I want you to write it. I want you to personalize it. Use positive language. Set a deadline for it. Use supportive values. Make it visual. See the benefit in it. Make it something that's believable that you can do. And then at some point in time when it's appropriate, share that with someone. So take just a minute, turn off your machine right now, go through those steps, and make sure that you have a goal that you've practiced writing. And that will become a model for other goals that you will write. Okay, in this next section, I'd like to talk to you about creating your life plan. And the first step in creating your life plan is to look at your mission statement and see if there are some intermediate steps, some long and short-term steps that you need to achieve to create that mission statement. I would like to share with you an experience that my wife and I had because we wanted to build our dream home. I want to talk to you about some of the steps that we took in building our dream home, which, by the way, we lived in and we eventually sold and moved on to another home. But this home was something very special to us. It was the very first one that we had built from the ground up ourselves, and we really wanted to build something that personified who we were. So we made the long-term goal of having this home. We set a timeline that we would like to have it in approximately 4 years. And we started to search for then a piece of property because we knew one of the things we'd want to have first of all is a piece of property to build it on because that would impact the design of the home. So we then went about finding the property, which we located, a beautiful piece of property. Then once we had that, we just said our next goal is to develop the design for the home, and we started to focus on the design. We said what type of budget are we going to have to design to. We set the budget, we designed to that budget, we designed on the property, and we designed this beautiful home. Then we had, the next goal was to select a builder who became our builder of that home and eventually our cabin in the mountains. And he became a very close friend, still is today. We chose a builder to help us. And then we started to do the short-term goals of the actual building because it took us that amount of time to purchase, to have the money for the home, and to build it from the ground up. And we were very delighted because we had the financing we needed and everything, and we built this beautiful home. And we went through this wonderful building process of building that home because we set up our long-term goals, our short-term goals, and we did it gradually, one step at a time, until we eventually moved into it. And it was a wonderful experience for us because to some people, building their dream home is such a terrible experience because they find the wrong builder, they don't have the proper planning, they have not set enough time, they don't have the right financing and so forth. But for us, everything worked well because it worked to plan, and we were very delighted with the plan we had. So, in the next step that I want you to look at, the next application, okay, is I want you to look at your mission statement, and I want you to ask yourself, what are some of the long-term goals I want to set in order to achieve my mission statement, and what are some of the short-term goals that will enable me to write down my mission statement, to live my mission statement that I have written down. So take just a moment, look at some of the short-term and the long-term goals. Long-term, some people ask me time frame what that might be. Oh, maybe long-term is 5 years. Sometimes it's 3 years. Short-term is a few months, maybe 1 or 2 years. You'll have to decide for yourself what the timeline is, but pick some long-term and short-term goals that are going to be important for you to achieve your mission statement that you've written down. Okay, in this next segment, what I would like you to do is I'd like you to start another list. You have one list that you've started to create, which is your mission statement. You have your long-term and your short-term goals, and these are building you directly towards your mission statement. I find in life you need to have also another list which is called a possible to-do list. If you don't see exactly where it fits into building towards your long-term and short-term goals, build this possible to-do list. I keep a possible to-do list on just sticky notes that I throw together, and then maybe at the end of the day or the end of the week, I put them together on a possible to-do list. These are things that I'm not committing to do to achieve my mission or vision, but they're somewhat important to me. I want to do them sometimes. Sometimes they're just miscellaneous things I need to do. I'll prepare for the taxes, or there's some things that I want to do that will maybe be maintenance on a home or do something like that that I don't have to do now. There's not a sense of urgency to it. So make this possible to-do list of things that you might want to do if you have time. For example, one of the things I would like to do is I would like to improve the property where my cabin is, and by removing some brush and so forth. It doesn't have a sense of urgency to it, but I think it will landscape it and make the property look better. So on my possible to-do list, I say, remove the sagebrush from the property. And hopefully that'll percolate up the list to a time when I'm going to say I now have time to do it, and I can include that on my to-do list. So what I want you to do now is I want you to make a possible to-do list of all the miscellaneous things you need to do. This possible to-do list can be just kind of like a mind dump, and the reason I like to do it is I put it down on paper, and if I put it down on paper, I can forget about it. I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's there, and I can go back to it and review it from time to time, but it's not something that I feel a sense of urgency that I can do. It's a way of getting it out of my mind onto paper, and it becomes then something useful that I can do in the future. So take a moment to write that when you're through. Start up your DVD again, and we'll go on to the next section. Now, what I've done so far with you is we've talked about long-term and short-term goals and possible to-do goals. The reason I've had you do that is because I want you to start thinking in terms of goals and writing down what's in your mind, putting it on paper of things that you want to achieve. Now, those things that are truly important to you, that you really want to achieve, you want to go through the process of making them goals with the supporting values that have the timelines on them, that have the benefits to them, and so forth to go with that. You want to take the very important ones and do that. These lists that you're creating right now, they can be a simple sentence to help you remind you of what that goal is before you take it to that term. So let's expand these lists, this possible to-do list, and long-term goals, short-term goals, but I'm going to ask you a few questions. Listen to them, and if it makes sense, then make some additional notes on what you've written already, 1 through 3. What experiences would you like to have? Are there places that you would like to see? Are there places you want to go? Are there experiences you want to have? Do you want to do skydiving in your life? Is that something you want to do? Would you like to go scuba diving? Would you like to have an opportunity to do a concert with a great pianist? What type of experience would you like to have? Write it down. The next one is, what type of skills do you want to develop? I asked this to you in the last session, but really, truly, what skills do you want to develop? Always be looking for new skills, things that you can improve. I have a friend of mine who loves to improve his mind, but he also loves to improve the skills that he has. And he's totally amazing at what he can accomplish and do in his life because of his skill set. So do you want to be able to become a great writer? Do you want to learn how to play the guitar? Do you want to be able to compose music? What are some of the skills that you would like to learn in your life? And who would you like to meet? What would be some of the experiences you'd like to have with famous people? Write these all down and so forth. See, what we're doing by setting goals, it's like creating a compass. The goals become north, and the compass pointer that we have points to north. What we're trying to do is use this metaphor, a compass, as this is the direction we want to go, and these goals are setting the direction that we want. To a compass, the pointer points to north. In your personal life, we want to have our life pointed towards the goals we want to achieve. We don't want it to be pointed out here to the east, or we don't want it to be out here to the west, or we don't want it to be pointed south. We want to be going straight to that destination on those goals that we have. It's very valuable to us to have a compass and to have goals. I don't know if you've ever been lost before, but I have been. I've walked out in the wilderness. As a boy, I was just enjoying myself, playing on the stream, and so forth, and I looked around me and I realized I didn't know where I was. And so what I had to do is sit down and think about and see if I could determine where north was. And if I knew where north was, I knew on a mental map of where I lived approximately where I would be from my home. And my father had taught me to read the sun as it went across the sky, and I knew approximately what time it was. I knew what shadow I was casting, and that allowed me to determine which direction was north, and I was able to successfully get home. I didn't have a compass, but I wish I would have had a compass with me. I wish I would have had a map and a compass. I would have been far better off. Also, I wish I would have been paying more attention so I didn't get lost. So if you're going to avoid getting lost in life, and you're going to go in a straight direction to get to your goal, what you want to do is build this internal compass for yourself. It'll become very, very useful to you as you progress in life. Now, the next item that I'd like to talk to you about is the item of specialization. Okay? People come to me and they say, Royce, how can I make money? How can I get wealthy? Some of them just simply want to be rich because they haven't had money before. And what I point them to is this principle. Not only do they build a quality of life, a quality of person around good characteristics, but they need to specialize and develop some tools that they can exchange in the marketplace for money that other people value. Normally, what you want to specialize in and become a specialist in is something that someone else doesn't want to do, because they will hire you to do something they don't want to do. And also, it's a skill that they may not be able to achieve themselves, and they're willing to purchase from you. Recently, I've had the opportunity to put together a website development team. And we wanted to build these tremendous websites. And as I started to put together this website development team, what I looked for is a person with the very best skills that I could find. I had never designed a website. I had no idea what those skill sets might be, but I had to do some investigation. And I started to realize very quickly what were some of the skill sets that were required. So the first person I hired was a person who could manage the team, who knew those skills, and then that person could go out and hire the other individuals. This team has been working together now for many months, and it's fantastic what they've been able to accomplish. And it's because each one of these team members that come to the team are specialized and have a definite skill set that other people may possibly be able to do, but they do it very well. And they also fit into the team very well because their interpersonal relationship skills are very high and their technical skills are very high, and so they're a nice fit to come onto this team. So I suggest to you, what are some of the unique skills that you want to create in life? What do you want to have? You've written this down for me before. I want you to revisit again now, but write down what are some of the skills you would like to have that you can exchange for money because you're going to make these valuable in your life. And what are you willing to do that others are not willing to do? And this will create great value in your life. So take just a moment and write it down. Are you going to do it in music? Are you going to do it by becoming a specialist in computer sciences? What is it that you're going to do? Let's just take a minute and write that down. Okay, now let's crystallize your life plan. This is the next segment. You're starting to put together some of these goals. You've got some of the skills you want. You've got some of the material to start building your plan. Let's start pulling it together so you get a very strong life plan. You can always change this life plan. You're not committing yourself to do all of it at once. Some people come to me and they say, Royce, The reason I don't set goals and I don't have a lot of plans in my life is I like the serendipity of life. I like to be able to choose and move with the currents and so forth. And I said, well, that's okay, but don't let the winds come along and blow you off path. At least set a rudder, set your sail towards the direction. So I'm not asking yourself to commit 100% to do these things, but I find when you have a life plan, you wake up in the morning, you don't have to make a lot of decisions because you've already decided what you're going to do that day. This is what I want you to do. So from the list that we've created so far, think about those things that you are truly excited about doing. And what I want you to do is on number 5 on this list is I want you to choose those things that are really important to you. And I want you to make a short list. So you might use the goal that you created first, then you might make your short list. You might take 1 or 2 of your short or long-term goals. You might choose 1 or 2 of those to come down to your short list. You might look at some of your possible goals that you're considering doing. You might bring 1 or 2 of those down. You might look at skills and bring those down. So what I want you to do is select, I would say, probably a short list of 7 to 10 goals that you're going to become very serious about achieving in your life. And you may want to prioritize those so you know what the top 3 are of those 7 to 10. So start to write those down. I'll give you just a moment, stop the DVD, write those down, and then we'll continue on. All right, now that you have your list, what I want you to do now is to really visualize 2 or 3 or 4 of these goals and use the process of writing very good goals, the one you practiced on this first goal, and I want you to convert each one of those goals using the implementation of a significant goal and write those down very clearly. So take just a few minutes and write these with deadlines, with supportive values, with the benefits in them, and so forth. Write those down. Okay, now what you've done is you have this short list of goals. These are what are really important to you right now. This has become the north in your life. This is what you're going to focus on. In the short term, maybe there's 1 or 2 long-term goals that you'll do pieces of those also. And what we've done now is we're going to magnetize this end of your compass so it focuses on this. This is in writing. This magnetic compass needle is in your mind. How can you get your mind to see those goals and stay focused on them? See, when you have a compass, the end of this compass is magnetic, and so it points towards magnetic north in the world. Wherever you go on the globe, use a compass, it'll point towards magnetic north. I want you, wherever you go, to be able to immediately know, because you've thought about magnetizing this, what the goals and the direction is that you're going to go in your life, so it's constantly in front of you. So let me share with you how you do this. I'm going to get very specific on some of these things, so I hope you'll bear with me as I do it. First of all, what you're going to need to do is find a tool. A tool where you can write down the more significant goals of your life. Hopefully in that tool you can write your mission statements, you can write your values also, the important things you want to do in your life, maybe even a place to put your possible to-do list, but at least it's going to have the significant goals. There are companies that have made millions of dollars by selling this on paper. If you're used to working on paper and it has a time planner of some sort that you can work on paper, that may be a tool that you use. There are some wonderful cell phones today that you can use that you can write your goals on that'll keep you focused. There are computers that you can use that'll help you keep you focused. At the least you can use is some post-it notes to write your goals down, but that's probably the fundamental form. A to-do list is a focus list. It's a part of a tool that you use. My guess is in your life you have some way, shape, or form of a to-do list that becomes a part of this tool. So I want you to look around with you and say to yourself, what tool can I use that is portable, that I can take with me, that I can refer to it often, that will keep me focused on the true north, in other words, those goals that are really important to me each day of my life, each week, each month, each year. Now, it may require a combination. I like to use a combination. I like to put goals into my computer, then I sync that with my telephone, which is a smartphone, and then I can take the telephone with me and I can refer to my goals at any time because it's on my cell phone. You may want to use that. That's a common one I'd suggest. If you're using a computer and you don't have a cell phone that you sync with, you can print the goals. You can carry them with you. If you have a time planner, you can take the time planner and use that. It's not as convenient as because it's electronic, but it may be exactly the tool you need because it's useful to you. So select a tool that's going to help you to keep your, this is the tool right here, by the way. This is what this does. Help you keep your mind focused on what's really important in your life. There's so many distractions, so many things that will pull us away from what's important, especially if you work in a large organization, because many people want to talk to you, take your time. They want you to work on this project or this task, and you need to have something that allows you to say no to that which is not important. You want to be able to say yes to that which is important. So this is what this tool is for. Now, this tool can be used, as I said, to write down some of your principles and your values. You can include your mission in that tool. You can put your life plan down there. But in particular, you want to make sure you're able to write down the daily steps that you want to achieve. What can you do on a day-to-day basis? You want to get that granular. So, number 6, what I want you to do right here on number 6 is I want you to write down, what tool will you use? Think about the tool you're going to use, and if you have a tool now, how can you improve your tool to make it even better? So take just a moment, jot that down, and then we'll go on. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is we want to do some systematic planning with your tool. We want to make sure that you can use it in a system. This is actually a process that you would follow. Let me just quickly give you verbally what I do with my system. Once a year, I will sit down and I will write down the most significant goals I want to achieve in that year. I try to look at physical goals, mental goals, social goals, spiritual goals. I use those 4 categories. So I write a list of goals down, and as I'm writing the goals, I say, is this really something I can accomplish this year? And I try to write it so it's believable that I can achieve it in that year. Some goals I consistently carry forward from year to year because it's something I want to do the next year. That's okay too. Maybe it's something you did last year, you want to do it again this year. Maybe you want to maintain a certain weight, for example. So you want to maintain that weight next year as well as you did last year. So the first thing I do is I write down what I want to do on an annual basis. Then each month, as I start a new month, what I do is I look at those goals and I take the goals that this month will help me to achieve the annual goals. So I look at them monthly. So I have my month goals and I list those down. And I add to it not just the goals that I had for the year, but there's other goals I need to do that come up that are important. Then once a week, at the beginning of each week, or at the end of the week, what I will do is I will sit down and I will say, What do I want to accomplish in this week and to achieve in the monthly goals? And then finally what I'm doing is each day I sit down and I write the goals for the day. Now when it becomes the goals for the day, that's when it really becomes an action list to me. This is when I know I'm going to act on it. This is the action list, and it's very important that it get done that day, because when I do it in the day, I get done what's important for the week. That helps me do what's important in the month, and that helps me achieve my annual goal. And of course, my annual goal is written so that I'm fulfilling my mission. This is what I call goal alignment. So I'm aligning my goals. That's the part of the process where I align my goals. Now, in my day, what I try to do is I assign a specific task for a specific time. Personally, I'm very good at keeping appointments. So I'm using the strength of setting appointments by making an appointment with myself to accomplish the goal that I want to achieve that day. Okay? So what I'm doing is I'm using this process. Now, what type of process do you use for setting goals? You probably have a system. Look at it. What can you do to help you get through your goals? This one is very simple. It works for me, but the nice thing about it, it's easy and I can consistently do it, and I can do it over and over again. It's something that I can replicate, and it works for me. I find that there's no particular form that works better than other forms. What I try to adapt it to is what will work on my computer and work on my phone, but I'm still using this same process to go through the cycle each day, each week, each month, each year. And as I step by step go through it. So, look back now to your application guide. Okay. Add to your tool, number 7, what process are you going to use in your tool to keep your compass focused on magnetic north? So let's pause there, give you an opportunity to write that down. And so what are you going to do? What tool are you going to use? What process are you going to use to help keep your mind focused on true north? In other words, the key significant goals that you're going to use. Make it something that works for you. Don't just copy down what I wrote because you think it works for me. You want to make something that really works for you. All right. Let's go on to the usefulness of the power of focus. I've been leading up to this because there's a tremendous gift that you can give yourself when you learn how to focus. As a young boy, I used to love to eat a little snack that's called a Cracker Jack. Cracker Jacks were some caramelized corn, popcorn, that came in a little box, and it had a man's face on the front of it, and he was Mr. Cracker Jack. And one of the reasons I loved eating that, because as you opened up the Cracker Jack, I could not only have the sweet caramelized corn, but inside each one there was a little prize, a little gift that they inserted in there. And I just loved to open it because what's going to be in there? This one time I found a little plastic magnifying glass. And I'd never seen one of those before, and I thought it was so plain, such an unusual gift. So I went out to play with it, and being young, I was experimenting with it. And I could hold it up and down, and I could see plants. I was looking at the grass, looking at the plants. I was looking for insects, and as I was doing this, I didn't notice it was happening, but the sun came down through the magnifying glass, and it magnified the sunlight on my finger, and it burned my finger. I dropped it and I said, whoa, what happened? Why is my hand hurting? And then I started to realize I could burn things by using the power of the sun, and I could actually burn things. So I took a piece of paper and I started it on fire. That's when I learned the power of focus, when you can focus the sunlight down to a point that it can start a fire. So it not only magnified that item that I could see better, but I could use the magnifying glass to actually burn, cause an intense heat and intense energy. I like to use the concept of the power of focus because when you focus your energy of your life on one or two things at a time and put all of your effort into it, you're more than likely going to accomplish it. So in your planning process, and this is why key number 3 is so important, you want to select a few things that you want to dedicate your life to and do those things well. Don't overload yourself each day in trying to do too many things. One of my favorite questions to ask people is I say to them, can you do everything? They look at me, what do you mean? I says, everything you can think of you want to do in life, can you do it all? Well, I think I can. I says, are you sure? How many things did you get done on your to-do list yesterday? Well, about 60%. The day before that, how much did you get? Well, 78. I says, did you get everything done? Well, no. I said, we can far out imagine what we can do to the reality of what we can actually do. And the key is to focus on those vital things that truly need to get done, not everything that you want to do in your life. I find this especially true with young people right out of college. They join a company, they want to really show their power, and so they just volunteer for every task that comes along. They get overloaded and soon they burn out. If you have feelings of burnout, the challenge is you're trying to do everything. Cut down your appetite. If you sit down in a restaurant, you don't look at the menu and say, bring me the entire menu and try to eat everything. It's silly. You don't do that. You pick out the 1 or 2 items you want to eat and have a nice, nutritious, balanced meal and enjoy that. Do the same thing with your time management each day. You'll feel healthier, you'll feel better, and it'll cause you to have far more effectiveness when you do that. You simply cannot do everything. And when you do that, it will give you the energy to do more things because you're accomplishing and you're in a success cycle versus a failure cycle. It'll be a way of rewarding yourself because you'll want to do more. It'll be even better for you. So this energy thing is something that we want to pay attention to. Because in your life plan, I would like to challenge you to put down a place in your life that you can spend the time each day, at least once a week, to build your energy in your life so you have the energy to accomplish the task that you're doing. I've already mentioned to you one way, which is to be able to have a success cycle going. But let's break energy down into 4 areas. The first type of energy is physical energy. Now, physical energy has to do with our body. Everything that deals with that, the nutrition, the exercise, the cleanliness of it. You see, if we don't have a good operating physical body, then it destroys our mental, our spiritual, and our social. Make physical number 1 in your life. Make sure that you have proper energy. A few years ago, my wife came to me and I was sitting on a couch just kind of, after I'd eaten dinner, sitting there just kind of going through the channels, and she slapped me on the shoulder and she says, you know, you're not worth a darn around here, and then she stomped off. And I went and I followed her and went into the room where she was and said, what do you mean, dear? That's a little surprising. You haven't treated me like that before. She says, well, you come home from work, you eat, then you sit there at the television and you turn on the channel and you fall asleep. And eventually crawl into bed. You're no use to me around here when you're doing that. I thought, that's strange. I've never had anyone give me that feedback before. She says, you ought to go see a doctor. So I did. I went in and got a physical examination. When I got through with the physical examination, my doctor looked at me, and these are the words that Dr. Jackson said to me. He said, Royce, he says, you have a 30% chance of dying prematurely. He says, what do you mean? He says, if you continue the life habits with the high cholesterol you have, the overweight that you are, and so forth, you are not going to last as many people will. You're going to shorten your life by at least 30%. I said, wow, that's unbelievable. I says, what do I do? And he took out a prescription pad and he wrote out a prescription. The first thing he wrote down was very interesting. He wrote down, stop eating meat. says, what do you mean stop eating meat? He says, well, you have high cholesterol. That's usually a lot of saturated fat, and you need to get the saturated fat out of your life. Meat is probably the biggest source in your life. He says, you eat a lot of meat, don't you? And I says, I do. From youth, I've grown up because of my roots in the farm country and so forth, that I've eaten a lot of beef in my life. A lot of cow, a lot of lamb and so forth. He said, well, stop eating it. It's not good for you. Wow. Then he went on down on exercise, and he talked about flexibility, and he gave me a whole prescription pad. So I took it, and I very seriously did those things, and I came back a year later. And I had dropped my bad cholesterol dramatically, so it was now into the normal range. My weight loss had gone down, my energy had gone up. And he put me through the battery of tests again, and he looked at me, he says, Royce, this is amazing you've done this in 1 year. What did you do? And I pulled out his list. It was all crinkled up, and I'd used it a lot. And I said, I did these things. He says, that's amazing. When you pay attention to your physical self, you can dramatically increase your energy. So what you want to do is take care of yourself physically. You know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. Do it. What I do is I exercise every day the best that I can. Sometimes I take 1 or 2 days off in the week, but I exercise. I watch my diet. I watch what I eat. I'm trying to be very careful in the quality of air that I breathe. I do those things that I think are good for my body, and I'm very excited right now about the quality of energy that I have. The next area of energy that we want to work on is mental. Now people say, Royce, what do you mean mental energy? I said, well, it's very interesting. Are there things that you can do, that you can study, that you can read, a game you can play, things like that, that build your mental energy? And they said, well, I guess so, it does. I get excited when I do it. I said, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. When I read a good book that's helping me to improve myself professionally, or I'm just enjoying reading it, it helps me to have energy. It increases that energy. So it's the reading, the studying, the learning the new music, anything that pushes your mind mentally, causes you to go beyond what is comfortable. This is when you are building yourself and building your mental energy. So this is mental energy. The next area is the social energy. This is also called the emotional energy. This is the loving, the caring, the serving other people. I get great energy when I help other people. I enjoy stopping and helping people because it makes me feel good. It's a sense of inner peace. When I have friends around me and we're enjoying ourselves and having a good time, that gives me energy. I enjoy being around good friends and having a good time. This builds my energy level. The next one is spiritual energy. I want to build my spiritual energy also, because spiritual energy is when I go into nature and I get myself in a sense of being in tune with the universe. When I'm studying values, when I'm reading biography, when I'm contemplating the scriptures, when I meditate, when I feel that inner being, that spiritual being that's inside of me being fed and nurtured, it gives me greater strength. It's when I bring my values in alignment with the universe and I sense those values are being aligned. And I think there's different ways of doing that. Some people do that through formal religion. Some people do it through meditation. Some do it through prayer. Do the spiritual activities that allows you to feel the spiritual energy. Now, when you do all 4 of these things, and you do that on a daily, weekly basis, you get tremendous energy. And it's very exciting to build that quality of energy in your life, and it'll help sustain you. So build into your plan specific activities that will allow you to do this. For myself, this is what I do. I usually get out of bed about 5:30 in the morning. The first thing that I do is I attack spiritual energy. I want values, my core values, to be the basis that build my strength. So I'll meditate, I will do prayer, I will read biographies, I will prepare spiritual lessons, I will do those types of things for approximately 30 minutes. As soon as that's done, what I will do is I will focus on the physical. I exercise, I'll spend probably 45 minutes exercising, and during that exercise time, I do stretching, aerobic, anaerobic exercises, that which builds my body and gives me strength. And then physically during the day, I try to be very careful on what I eat. So I eat energy foods. I eat those things that will enable my body to be strong. During the day, I will find time to sit down and read and study. I'll read on the internet. I'll read magazines and books. I'll try to spend 30 minutes to an hour each day just reading in general to improve my mental energy. And socially, what I love to do is sit down and talk with my wife. If I'm traveling, talk with friends. Spend some social time so that I'm around other people. And emotionally, I try to do those things which are service-oriented. So when I'm home, I try to provide service in my community and in my church. So I'm actively engaged in doing those types of things. What will you do? See, if you schedule those things and you consistently do it, what you'll do is you will dramatically increase your energy. And I promise you that the time that you invest in building your energy will multiply your energy, and you'll get everything else done in the time that's left over. Don't worry about the time to exercise, because that energy will come back to you in the form of greater energy during the day, and it'll enable you to do even more. So I ask you to do this. Create a way that you can daily, at minimum weekly, build energy. So let's go back to number 8 on our list. I guess we'll have to start a new list. I'll just call this number 8 on your application guide. It's going to be energy. What are you going to do to build the energy in your life? Write down some specific steps that you're going to take to build that energy. In this next segment, I want to talk to you about 4 important habits. I call them 4 focus habits. Now, habits are very powerful forces in our life, because once we learn a habit, and it's a good habit, we do it over and over again, and it can consistently get us good results. I encourage you to use these 4 focus habits to help you implement your plan and make sure you stay focused on that which is truly important in you. So step number 1, the habit number 1, is to simply stay focused on your goals. To focus on your goals, you must make them, you must write them down, you must make them portable so that you can carry them with you, so you can look at them and see them. Put them in a place where you can focus and see those goals. The more you can see them in life, the less you'll become distracted and be distracted on those things that are not important in your life. So make sure you focus on your goals. Now, once you have your goals written down and they're in a tool, in a place where you can see them, what you'll want to do is make sure what you do next is focus on the execution of those goals. Not only look at them, but ask yourself the question, am I doing them or am I avoiding them? I ask people, if you consistently write down a goal and you don't do it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, take it off. You're not going to do that goal. You're not going to execute it. It's either do it or get rid of it. Don't carry the baggage around with you. This is really important. So execution means to do the goal, get it done. I just love putting the check mark by a goal I've done, or to cross it off the pad. It feels so good to do that. And at the end of the day, I've got everything checked off, all crossed off. I feel really good because I've executed, I've accomplished those goals that I wanted to achieve. That's really important to me in my life. I might say that I'm a goal-driven person because of that. 3, this is really important. Have a habit of measurement. I wrote the 8 Keys book in 26 days. From the time that it was written to the time it was published was less than 180 days. I'm sure there's other books that have been written faster, but for me that was totally amazing to write it in 26 days. What enabled me to do that is previously I'd helped in a project of writing 101 books in 97 days. But to do that 26 days, what I did is I wrote down 250 pages, 26 days. I knew that I had to write approximately 10 pages a day. I created a chart and a graph, and at the end of each day, I would write down how many pages I had written. And I tracked it, and every day I would measure my progress. It's just like measuring in the morning how well what your what your weight's like and so forth. That I did the same thing by measuring how well I was writing, the number of pages I was writing. That measurement allowed me to do it in the 26 days and meet the goal and get that off to the publisher so they could start working on it. Measurement is a very powerful source. You may want to look at it like a scorecard. Another way of doing that is make everything a game and build a scorecard out of it. It's like playing sports. When you score in sports, it becomes fun, it becomes enjoyable. And I encourage you to keep score, whether you're winning or losing. You need to know each day if you're winning or you're losing. If you're losing, you know what to make up. If you're winning, you can celebrate. I hope that you win far more than you lose, because you're going to find great happiness when you're winning in life. Number 4, what you want to do is improve your process for applying your goals each day. Find ways to become better at focusing on your habits. Look for better ways. Don't fall in the trap of doing the same thing over and over and over again. I have people come to me and they say, well, things are just not going well. I said, well, why don't you change and do this? Oh, it's so hard to change. If you can't change, you can't find the improvement. Change to find the improvement. Improve your processes so that each day that you become better, and you will find great satisfaction when you do this. So, what I want you to do in your workbook, let's go to number 9. Okay? What will you do to apply the 4 focus habits to your goal process that you're using? Take just a moment and write that down. And then we'll go into the wrap-up of this session. Okay. Before we wrap up, I have one more topic I'd like to share with you. And that is this topic of riches follow contribution. If you want to be rich, what you must do is contribute value to people. You must become valuable. When you're valuable, people will purchase your time and your work, or they will at least value your learning, and you become value to them, and this is what you contribute. If you're an employee in an organization, when you go to work that morning, don't say, they pay me for my hours. They don't pay you for your hours. Time is not what your company needs from you. What they need from you is the work and the value that you create during the day. Did you accomplish the task? Did you achieve the goals? Did you achieve the objectives? These are the valuable things that they want you to do. Measure your value by the contribution of creating that value. And when they do, I'll promise you something. If you continue to increase your value day by day inside that organization, you will inevitably get your raises. It will happen over time when they can, because the best way to get a raise, the best way to increase the money that you achieve in life is to increase the value that you're giving to that person or to more people. Spread the value to more people. That will also increase it. If you're an independent business person, you absolutely live and die by this principle, because you must find the people that you can contribute the value to. You must create the value, and you deliver that to them in excellence, and they will come back to you. They'll become consistent customers to you. Value is when you can help them solve the problems and issues they have. Value is when you help them achieve the success they want in life. Value is when you enable people to live a better life, a healthier life, a life free of pain, a life full of the gain that they want to achieve. This is the value that they're looking. So, you can increase your money when you do that. Wealth is created by giving value, so is happiness. When you give service, when you help people, when you become valuable to them, you'll find that is reciprocated in greater happiness in your life. So, in number 10, in your application workbook, I want you to write down, what value will you create? What value are you going to create to contribute in order to get to the wealth and the happiness that you want? So what is it you're going to contribute? And then go on to number 11, which is, think about your business. What value does your business contribute to the customers or to society. Let me do a quick review of this lesson and take you through the steps and the many points we went through. First of all, we talked about how to write effective goals. Writing a goal is not simply by writing it down on a piece of paper. That might be a simple task you want to do, but if it's a meaningful goal, you want to personalize it, you want to give it a deadline, you want to make sure that you'd have the benefit outlined, you have the supportive values. Do those steps that it takes to write goals effectively, and you'll achieve more of them. Create a life plan. Sketch out a plan. You don't have to commit yourself to all stages of it, but see how you have a plan that will help you achieve your mission statement. Create some possible to-do lists. Create some absolutely have-to-do lists, those things that you must do, as well as the possible to-do lists. This becomes a rich environment where you can start planning and building a map of your life, and you can start committing yourself to some specific goals that you want to achieve, and this is the way that you magnetize the head of your compass, and this allows you then to achieve what's truly important in your life. Learn to use the principle of the power of specialization. This is when you increase the value that you can contribute to people around you. Crystallize your life plan so you have it written down and you can refer to it, you can change it, you can modify it to meet your needs as you go through life. This will be really important. And make sure that you magnetize the pointer of your compass by using a tool that will help you point you towards your goals every day so you can stay focused and you don't get distracted. There was a study done years ago by a major consultant, two major consultants out of Europe, and they studied huge global corporations, 15 of them. And they discovered something that was very interesting. The key managers of those businesses, 90% of the time were not working on the goals that were important to the company. 90%. Only 10% of their time is focused on the goals that they wanted to achieve. Now that's amazing because these were major corporations. And imagine in your own personal life, how often are you distracted from that which is really important in your life? Okay? I suggest to you, build a tool that will help you stay focused on that which is truly important. Use systematic planning. Take time to create energy every single day. Use the 4 focus habits to help you stay focused on what's truly important. And always remember that riches follow contribution as well as happiness does. As your homework assignment, what I'm going to give you is take your goals, all of the goals that you want to do, pick the significant goals, make a piece of paper that says, this is my life plan, put some long-term goals, short-term goals, and write out a plan for your life for whatever period of time you want to, whatever's believable to you, 2, 3, 4 years. If you want to make it 70, 85 years, that's fine too. You can sketch that out. But come to the next session with that goal plan finished, and then we'll continue on talking about the 8 keys. Thank you very much for your participation.